Well, the transfiguration of Jesus, let's take it up again from verse 7 in Mark 9. Then a cloud appeared and enveloped them, and a voice came from the cloud, "This is my son, whom I love. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus gave them orders not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. They kept the matter to themselves, discussing what rising from the dead meant. Well, this awesome event that took place, and only Peter, James and John were brought up the mountain with Jesus. Moses and Elijah appear. Let's make 3 booths. Let's stay here. This is marvellous, wonderful, heaven on earth. Let's stay here. Let's not go back down. The cloud envelops them. The voice comes from the cloud. "This is my son whom I love. Listen to him." So much, so much. Here's a wonderful picture of the Trinity. There's Jesus, God the Son. The cloud, God the Holy Spirit. The voice, "This is my son," God the Father, the triune God involved in our salvation. Moses and Elijah, the Old Testament church is there, the witnesses from the Old Testament. There's Peter, James and John, who will be the witnesses in the New Testament. Here's the whole church. Here's the universal picture: Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Moses, Elijah, they're talking about his death and his departure, his ascension back to heaven. And Peter, James and John are there as witnesses. It's a wonderful, wonderful picture. And then normality is restored. They see only Jesus, and they're descending the mountain. And Jesus says 2 things. Don't tell anybody about this. You know, when we have special experiences of the presence of God, an unction from the Spirit, a baptism of fire, that awesome reality, it's best to say nothing. It's best to treasure it and let it be manifest by the way we conduct ourselves. If we really experience something of God, it will show in a changed life and in our wanting to focus on and talk about Jesus. Let our conduct, let our lips point to Christ and not to our experiences. And then he says, don't say anything about it until after I have risen from the dead. And there you see the big problem. They began to talk what rising from the dead meant. They still haven't understood. They still don't get it. They're still slow to learn. But the whole focus of Jesus now has moved from his identity to his purpose. He is the Christ. He must die, and he will rise again. But they haven't understood. They're still expecting the setup of an earthly kingdom here and now. The Romans will be dealt with, and it will be heaven on earth. That's not the situation. They're going to descend back down the mountain to the mess that will await them, and the needy, sinful world that they need to penetrate with the glory of Christ.